Vegas Skyline.
Vegas Strip at night.
Microsoft SharePoint Conference.
Activities and people.
Stephen Rose, Senior Product Marketing Manager.
Jeff Teper, Corporate Vice President.
Jeff, thanks for joining me today.
Glad to be here.
What a great week. So many announcements yesterday at the show. So what are you most proud of? I mean, we did so much great stuff around all the new stuff coming to SharePoint, OneDrive, Teams, the VR stuff. Kind of walk me through a few of the things that really stuck out.
Yeah, I was trying to think about it because it was a lot. And I think the arc we've got is that SharePoint's the universal content collaboration system. It does everything from files, which OneDrive is the hero experience for, to websites, and we showed a lot of stuff in SharePoint building great websites. And then the new SharePoint Spaces.
Yeah.
So
talk a little bit about that, because we made that announcement, but how do you see folks leveraging that and using that?
Yeah, we think, as we've always done, if you think about the experience going from Word, Excel, PowerPoint, people creating content to represent information, sharing it with others. They want to organize that content. They create a SharePoint site. And now we're taking the next step where people want to create really engaging experiences to navigate 3D content and more in new and novel ways, but they don't have the skills of, say, a game developer.
Right.
And so we do what we do in SharePoint, was make it easy for people to just grab some content, put it together, and create an immersive experience.
That's awesome. So out of some of the OneDrive announcements, what were some of your favorites yesterday? Because we were chatting a little bit last night about this.
No, there's a lot of great stuff, as you know, we showed with OneDrive. I think the things around capturing things on the go with the easier scanning.
Digital lifestyle, yeah.
The work we're doing to not just bring photos to your personal life in the cloud, but at work, people are excited about that. And then one thing that we showed in a different section, but I think really relates to OneDrive, is this idea of building intelligent business processes around content. So you can use flow and cognitive services on content in OneDrive to automate business processes, to do image recognition and so forth.
Right.
So everything from basic creating a picture, sharing a file, all the way up to these really robust, intelligent business processes with OneDrive.
Well, you meet with customers all the time. Are you hearing that, that mobile's a big movement and that they're getting off of, on-prem, we're moving to hybrid and cloud? How does that sort of fit together as you're chatting with them? How do you have that conversation?
Yeah, I think, clearly a lot of CIOs are getting pressed from business users to make information available anywhere, but also address security. And I think the magic of OneDrive is that we give you anywhere access to all your files, iOS, Android, web, Mac, and Windows, but do so in a secure way. So all the things around conditional access and encryption and mobile device management, and so much more. And so a lot of the customers I talk to are really excited about going to OneDrive because they can both facilitate more collaboration and do a better job of protecting the information than they had with on-prem file servers and SharePoint.
Yeah, and that really feeds into, we're seeing people use very different devices than they used 2-3 years ago. It's not just laptop, and it's not even just Mac. There's so much being done. I mean, you have kids, I have a daughter. She can do more on her iPhone on homework, multitasking in the back seat than I can do on a laptop. So are we seeing that sort of change, which not only I want to be able to work from any device anywhere, but even the form factors that people are using to get work done?
No, totally. We see it prepping for this event even. There were moments I was jotting down notes in OneNote on my phone that of course stayed in OneDrive. I was working on the blog post I did on LinkedIn, on Word, on an iPad. I was working on the slide deck on a PC using PowerPoint.
Sure.
And I didn't really think about it. When I went to all those apps, they knew the most recently used file I had on all my devices. I could just go to office.com or OneDrive and the information was right there. I'd click and open it and don't even think about it.
Yeah, and that's not a ubiquity that we had 2-3 years ago.
No,
it
for
really
sure.
is amazing how easy it is to flow, and now with some of the new features, the handoffs and things that we're talking about, it's really going to sort of move things forward.
And that you can keep track of what's going on. One of the really my favorite features that Omar showed yesterday is the activities on files.
Yeah.
So you and I could be working on the demo script for this event, and with a bunch of other people who we've shared the document with. And of course, wouldn't you like to go through and scroll and say, oh, Steven added a note about make sure you show scanning. Omar showed a note about making sure you show flow integration. And you can see when that happened in just the stream of activities on the file. And so that's, once people see that, they're like, how could I go back to the old way of doing things? File systems did not have that sort of activity feed, notifications, comments, those sorts of things.
It was interesting. We were chatting last night, and you were saying one of your favorite features is Discover View in OneDrive. A lot of folks are not familiar with that. They see it, they kind of skip over, go right to the shared with me, shared by me. Talk a little bit about why you like that feature and how you use it.
Yeah, so we introduced a feature, as you know, a couple of years ago, actually at the last SharePoint conference. We called the Office Graph then, now it's the Microsoft Graph. That what it does is it understands what you work on, who you work with, what they work on, and in a way that's secure, shows basically content that's trending around you that you might be interested in. And so this event is a perfect example. Of course, I can go to the SharePoint site or go into the OneDrive mobile app and browse and say, OneDrive, the SharePoint Conference team site, documents, presentations, and get to the decks from all our team members for this event. But why do that? Right on top, I can go to the Discover view in OneDrive in the mobile apps or on the web and see the files that are trending around me. And lo and behold, if I did it right now, the decks that we're churning for this event and the team are all right there. And so if I've got this curiosity, like, you know, what's the cool new slide deck that people are working on for the SharePoint conference? Maybe I want to take a look at those before I
steal with integrity. Some great idea.
Yes, exactly. And so that ability, without hunting and searching and asking people around to just see the most relevant content to me, I think is pretty powerful. And the team's always surprised when I show up in a meeting and they say, well, let's spend the first half hour walking you through the analysis we did. And I said, no, I saw what you were working on yesterday. I read it. So let's just brainstorm what we're going to do here.
No, that's great. And then again, through the hover card, I know who's looked at this. I know who's seen it. You can get so much more intelligence that allows you to be more effective in meetings and know what's going on around you to really come in prepared.
No, for sure.
So you've moved into a new role over the past year. How has that sort of changed? Because you've now gone wider than just OneDrive and SharePoint, really now across Office. So how is that kind of setting your North Star, and how is that bringing more of Office and OneDrive and SharePoint and Teams and Yammer together?
Yeah, I was really excited about taking on the responsibility for Office as well as OneDrive and SharePoint, because that way we have an opportunity to really make the end-to-end experience really seamless for customers on all platforms, like you said, Win32, Mac, Web, etc. And so some of what we showed yesterday, that notion of a common view of files, commenting, at mentions, notifications, etc. We're designing those as one experience across Word, Excel, PowerPoint with OneDrive and SharePoint.
Getting rid of the silos at Microsoft.
And so we've done this thing that might seem pretty remarkable to people, is just even on the web, we built, instead of 4 separate prototypes of the web interface for what we're going to introduce in OneDrive and the Office apps over the course of this year, we sat down and said, what do we want this to look like? Not just at SBC, but at Ignite. And so we built a pretty cool experience, and the team's sort of fired up, and every team's contributing. So, you know, the one you know the best is the OneDrive sharing view.
Yes.
We build that sharing experience. It goes into the Office apps on every platform. We've now got the OneDrive list view of files. It's going into Office.com, it's going into Teams. So what we're doing is really making that experience seamless, consistent, trustworthy, wherever you are. And so I'm pretty pumped up. This is going to be I think, one of the biggest years we've had for Microsoft Office
I
in
agree.
a long time.
I think it's great also with that, because as we take a look, I think you made a great
Yeah.
example sharing that now, whether you're sharing out of Mac or PC, out of Word, Excel, PowerPoint, and now from mobile, because we brought that to mobile,
Yeah.
that not only is the sharing experience ubiquitous, but training somebody how to share. They now only have to learn one way, and no matter what platform or what device they're using, they now share, and it looks the same and it acts
Right.
the same, and that's so key for end user
Right.
adoption.
And as we introduce new controls, as IT will ask us for things like policies on external guest sharing, they now know that when we introduce those policy controls to them,
Yeah.
they're going to be enforced on every application and every endpoint in a consistent way for users, so they don't have to constantly train new users with these new security capabilities.
Correct.
They're just there on every endpoint.
Yeah, no, absolutely. We talked about the ability now when somebody leaves that you could pick who the delegates are, and that also extends out to email, not just OneDrive, and
Yeah.
really sort of moves that
sure.
forward. So I think that's great. As we look forward to Ignite, anything that we should sort of, where are you kind of looking at? What would you like to?
I think as we were just talking, the experience between Office and OneDrive is going to get pretty magical. We are doing a whole bunch of things: security, intelligence, collaboration, teamwork, that really will improve people's productivity, ability to work together, ability to find information, ability to collaborate. And so some of those things we showed in the keynote today, but we have a lot more coming for Ignite between the Office and OneDrive and SharePoint teams. So as much as, I guess we got a couple days left to share the more
Enjoy
sessions.
the moment and
get
really share
feedback,
our stuff, and then
we're
get
getting
back
on the
into
plane
it.
and it's going to be a busy summer for coding.
It will be. It's great. I so appreciate you taking time.
Thank you,
It's great.
Stephen.
Thanks again,
Great as
Jeff.
always.
Always a pleasure. Thanks
Thank
for
you.
joining us, everyone.
techcommunity.microsoft.com/OneDrive. Microsoft logo.